Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I look at this panel, I see this great team of firefighters, local government, Cal OES, and FEMA. And this is part of the story that I think we can celebrate as a success, despite the tragedy that visited our communities. I saw many of these folks every single day during the worst of the wildfires. They worked together seamlessly. The resources that were mobilized from around the western United States with firefighters streaming in, prison crews from neighboring states were impressive. There's a lot about this system that actually does work, and we are grateful for that, and we learned it firsthand. But a lot of when we talk about how we can do better going forward, we do need to continue this focus on pre-disaster strategies. And so I want to ask our witnesses about that. And Supervisor Gorin, you did touch on the emergency alert system and warnings. We saw a lot of folks who lost their lives, unfortunately, in our region, and many of those were vulnerable populations, many elderly who didn't get word, or even in some cases were trying to get out but couldn't, the power was out, they couldn't open their garage doors, and we saw folks who lost their lives in their cars, in their garages. I'd like to hear your thoughts on pre-disaster planning and strategies that can help us with the evacuation of vulnerable populations. And then also, on the telecommunications piece of this, we've seen after these disasters, we can set up wireless hotspots, mobile cell sites, charging stations, all these things that help. But what can we do to have a more robust system proactively in advance of these things?
This is a very astute question, because that is exactly what led to the number of houses lost and the number of lives lost. We are looking at redundant and robust alert systems in the future, using perhaps the Lake Tahoe system, very tall poles with cameras on it. We could have seen the arcing of the wires and the flash of the fires in Napa County when they first started, and we could have brought in air resources to suppress those fires at the very beginning. And this is what many counties were able to accomplish. But the erratic winds that we experienced drove those fires so fast and so furiously. Quite frankly, the cloud cover was so thick that we couldn't get in, hopefully I'm describing this correctly, we couldn't get in the air support to suppress the fires. So we absolutely need the LIDAR and the smoke penetrating devices to know where the fires are and how to suppress them. But the alert system, we know of many people who lost their lives because they were hearing impaired. They took out their hearing aids during the night of the fire. A neighbor knocked on their door, but they didn't respond. And so we not only need to acknowledge the rapid acknowledgement of a fire and bringing the resources to suppress that initially, and in many different locations, because we had many fires breaking out in Sonoma County all on the night of the firestorm, and then merging into two enormous fires as they went through the county over the next 2 weeks. We need to make sure that those alert systems, and thank you for your work on the alert systems and the wireless alert systems. Some of the firefighters were so frustrated. We lost cell towers, landlines. They were ready to throw their cell phones in the fires because they could not communicate. So we need to make sure that our vulnerable populations also have the benefit of those alert systems. And just one other factoid, the Sonoma County assessor has determined that thus far 5,100 homes were damaged or destroyed in the fire in Sonoma County, a total loss of $1.6 billion of assessed value. I'm missing a very important budget meeting today. We're grappling with a budget deficit in the tens of millions of dollars for the next couple of years because of our expenses and unreimbursed expenses. So anything that you can do to help not only the cities, the counties, you're absolutely right, we are working together, but all of the special districts put together, including the fire districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'm just about out of time, but I wanted to give Administrator Fenton a chance to agree with me, if he does, that the Emergency Management Performance Grant Program is a great way for FEMA to support communities like Sonoma County that are working on strategies to quickly evacuate vulnerable populations.
Yes, I definitely agree. Also, I think moving more funds up front, as I talked about earlier, will help us even before disasters to build in resiliency to communities, and specifically on the IPI system and being able to do alert and warnings and communication infrastructure, all which is critical to provide people timely information to evacuate when necessary. All those things and resources could be resolved by better planning, building better redundancy, and hardening the infrastructure prior to events.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, I'd like